Hello and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. On each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we're going into the world of Marvel as we take a look at The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. And if you are enjoying these videos, please do hit that subscribe button. That way you will be notified with each new video. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we are covering The Amazing Spider-Man. This movie was released on June 13th, 2012, and it was directed by Mark Webb. It is based on the Spider-Man character created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and the screenplay was by James Vanderbilt, Alvin Sargent, and Steve Kloves. The production companies for this movie were Columbia Pictures, Marvel Entertainment, Laura Silskin Productions, IRAD Productions, and Mark Talmat Productions. So kind of a huge collaboration between many studios. And it was distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing. The budget for this movie was $230 million, and it did a box office return of $758 million. So, in terms of the development of this movie, following the release of Spider-Man 3 in 2007, Sony Pictures announced a May 6, 2011 as a release date for the next installment of the Sam Rami Spider-Man pictures. So screenwriters James Vanderbilt and David Lindsay Arbrain and Gary Ross had written several drafts for a Spider-Man 4 film. Raimi wanted John Malkovich to play the villain, which I assumed would have been the Vulture. On January 11, 2011, though, Columbia Pictures and Marvel Studios announced that instead of doing another sequel, it would be rebooting the film series with a new cast and crew. Reports said that Raimi had told Sony that with the deadline in place that he could not make the deadline with the creative integrity that he would have wanted. Days after Raimi's departure, it was announced that Mark Webb would be taking over as the director, and Webb wanted to use inspiration from the Ultimate Spider-Man comic series to make the film stand out from the previous three. Filming began on December 6th of 2010 and took place in Los Angeles and New York City. The film was actually the first film to be filmed in Red Digital Camera Company's Red Epic camera, shot in 3D at 5K resolution, and James Horner was hired to do the film score. So let's take a look at the cast. So we have Andrew Garfield taking the reins as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. Emma Stone is Gwen Stacy. Ross Infras is Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard. Dennis Leary plays Greg Stacy. Campbell Scott plays Richard Parker. Afran Khan plays Raja Ratha. Martin Sheen plays Ben Parker. Sally Field as Aunt May. And finally, Chris Zylka as Flash Thompson. So in terms of the plot, The Amazing Spider-Man follows the origin story of Peter Parker's beginning as the world-renowned web crawler Spider-Man. After being bitten by a radioactive spider, Peter acquires amazing abilities which will help him achieve things once he could only dream about. In a life-threatening fight for the city, Peter will strive to protect New York City from the threat of his friend-turned-enemy, Dr. Kirk Connors, who has transformed himself into the Lizard. So this movie had quite the extensive marketing, especially with merchandise. Spider-Man and the Lizard Pez dispensers were released at the new November 2011 San Diego Comic-Con, showing the first view of how the Lizard would look. In December of 2011, Mega Brands acquired the rights to produce construction sets, and in January 2012, Diamond Select Toys released action figures, giving fans the first glimpse of how the new Spider-Man would look. This also included Hasbro, Minimates, Hot Toys, Medicon, and Kaido also releasing action figures from the film. OPI Products also released Spider-Man nail polish to help promote the films, and then as well, trading cards were also released showing moments from the film. So again, a lot of different merchandising, and a lot of people were taking advantage of this. Carl's Jr. and Hardee's released a campaign to help promote the film. They actually created a new sandwich called the Amazing Grilled Cheese Bacon Burger. And then commercials and radio ads would feature Stan Lee, were created to help spread the word. And Spider-Man premiums were also offered with the Cool Kid combos. Stan Lee would go on to announce on Independence Day that if customers arrived to Carl's Jr. dressed as Spider-Man, they would get a free Amazing Grilled Cheese Bacon Burger. Big Cola, Kellogg's, and Twizzlers also had campaigns tied to the upcoming film. And then finally, a video game and soundtrack were also released. In terms of leading up to the film itself, a teaser trailer was released at the San Diego Comic-Con International in July of 2011, and it was attached to Captain America, the First Avenger in theaters. On January 8th, 2012, the Spider-Man logo would actually appear in some of the world's most iconic buildings around the world, including the Sydney Opera House, the Colosseum of Rome, the Kremlin in Moscow, and the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. On February 6, 2012, a sneak preview was held in 13 cities internationally, and these included Berlin, Los Angeles, London, Madrid, Mexico City, Moscow, New York, Paris, Rio de Janeiro, Rome, Seoul, Sydney, and Tokyo. And then on May 9th, 2012, the first TV trailer was released with a 4-minute sneak preview, and this occurred during the season premiere of America's Got Talent. And then a 6-minute 3D preview was tied in with the IMAX 3D screenings of Men in Black 3. So there was a lot of cross-promotion with different aspects of Sony Television and other Sony films. And then finally, this film actually did a exclusive viral campaign. And beginning in February of 2012, the official Twitter account revealed a scavenger hunt posting property of Peter Parker lost with exact coordinates in direct markets in US City. The missing item was a JanSport backpack, and inside contained a link to a viral site that contained a countdown timers for each of the cities. And these included Denver, Seattle, Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York City, and Phoenix. Once the countdown was up, each of the specific city Twitter accounts, a person in each city would wait to give the first person who arrived the password package and a tag name operative. These operatives would then spray paint a Spider-Man graffiti logo, and then once they completed their mission, they would get to view a scene related to the film. As well, a Daily Bugle website was also created with footage of Dennis Leary asking whoever spots Spider-Man to email the police. And as well, a website was similarly created for Oscorp Industries. Because this is Spider-Man, there was also a philanthropy campaign started with t-shirts with the film's Spider-Man to help with Stand Up for Cancer were also available. Andrew Garfield actually filmed commercials wearing the shirt in the message that anyone can be a hero and that cancer is one of our greatest villains. Columbia Pictures also teamed up with New York City cultural institutions to create Spider-Man Week by helping out in the community. So there was a lot of hype for this movie and a lot of kind of different aspects going around. So in terms of recommending this movie, I think this was a great way to reboot the series, especially after the Sam Rami films. It's totally a different look. I think the story is really interesting, and it shows the origins of Peter Parker and with his parents. I like the new villain, the Lizard. I think we never got to see the Lizard in the Sam Raimi film, so I think it was an interesting way to create a new villain. I think Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone do an amazing performance in this, and you're along the way for their love story, and I think, again, it's something unique from the Sam Raimi films. The only negative thing is I wish there was been more kind of follow-through with Peter's parents, but I get that they were setting up a franchise, so that was to come in future films. Overall, I think it's a great film, and it adds to the legacy of the Spider-Man franchise. And I think it's one to definitely check out. I know it kind of got a rise in popularity after Spider-Man No Way Home, and spoilers, featuring Andrew Garfield in that film. So it's definitely one I think you guys should definitely recheck out if you haven't seen it in a long time. So thank you so much for joining us here on Disney Movie Investigation. I would invite anyone to please leave a comment below on what they think of the reboot of The Amazing Spider-Man. And as we look forward to our next video, we are going to look into the world of the direct-to-video sequels as we actually do a double feature as we look at Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, and Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.